Hi, everyone. As Tyson has talked recently about changing and updating processes, he asked me to share this information with you about change management, what it takes to really get an organization to change. So I'll go ahead and share this screen with you. And this is about change management. So as we look at an organization, first we see over on the left, here's our past or current organization with ingrained habits for years. And this happens with many different organizations. And there's a whole industry out there called it's change management that helping people to change and organizations to change. There's books also that have been written about it. For example, a book is called Switch, and there are others. So as the organization looks and they want to become like this new organization here on the right, the ideal organization with new habits, sometimes it's hard for them to see through the cloud. There's kind of a fog there, and it's hard for everybody to see what that really could look like. So there's 5 steps that if we do can help us to change and become that new organization with new habits. The first step is um, to understand the why. So people need to understand why why things need to be done. If they understand the why, it gives them more of a motivation to be able to want to change, more of a desire to change, and it definitely helps the change process dramatically if they understand the why. Take the time to think it out and share the why with them as far as organizations and why they need to change. The next one is you need to have a new process. So come up with a new process that could be done, potentially as a team or individually, and so that people know what they can change and how you using the new process. Um, Next, you need to repeat things 7 times. Now, when I say repeat, that means both the why and the process. Help them to understand the why, repeat it again. If people just hear it once, then sometimes a week or two later they might think, "Oh, I heard about that, but it's not sticking, so we're not going to actually change." And it was a nice idea, but it didn't actually work. So you need to go through that 7 times, help them understand the why, reemphasize the new process, help them get it. Finally, when according to the book Switch, when people start rolling their eyes, you're actually starting to get through to them as far as the change goes. So it does take time, and sometimes people are like, "Gosh, stop repeating things." Well, that it's starting to get through them. The One of the things to try is that one that we've done on the especially with the dev team and those working on projects, is we have a meeting once a month where we focus on the new process, and we take from that meeting each month and we look at 3 things that we can improve, and we during that month and that we can focus on, and then we in all of our weekly meetings we analyze and look at those 3 key things. That might be one-on-one meetings or multiple, meetings with multiple people. We focus on those things and how we can change to gradually get the process, change. Sometimes there's micro parts of the process we have to focus on. Then after doing that, we need people on our teams to gain new experiences. So to see that it can work, to gain new experience, to say, wow, this is a great process, this is a great thing. But once they gain new experiences, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to continue those experiences. So the final step is we need to help them to form new habits. If we form new habits, it triggers it in the brain, and then the brain doesn't have to think about it as much. Things can naturally happen. So how do we get new habits to form, and how long does it take? There was a great study called the Braille study, and it analyzed changes to the brain. And so they took a group of adults who became blind in their adulthood, and they started learning Braille. Well, when they started learning, they would spend about an hour a day at a Braille school, and they mapped their brain using an fMRI scanner on Monday. And they noticed on Monday that certain parts of their brain were lit up. Then they kept learning for an hour or two every day. And by Friday, they did another fMRI, and different parts of their brain were lit up. There were maybe more optimized different circuits for Braille. But then when they came back on Monday, again, which do you think, which brain map was lit up, the Monday version or the Friday? So it was actually the Monday version was lit up again until, on Friday again, it would change to a Friday more optimized brain map with different circuits in place. And, how long, the question is, how long do you think it took for them to come back on, students to come back on Monday, and for the Friday map to actually trigger in their brain, showing there was a change in their brain and that was a permanent change? So just take a guess. What do you think? A lot of people I've talked to, they're like, 3 weeks, 6 to 10 weeks, or 7, 8 weeks, whatever. It actually took in this study 6 to 10 months for that part of their brain to change. Then they had those same students, they had them stop learning. Well, let me explain that a little more. So they had 6 to 10 months for the brain to change. So when they came back on Monday, they had the Friday brain map instead of the Monday brain map. So then when that change happened in the brain, they had those students stop learning Braille, and they didn't read it, learn it for 2 months. And they came back and they had them read Braille again. And the question is, which brain map do you think was utilized as they did the fMRI, the Monday map or the Friday map? So it was actually the Friday map. So that change became a permanent change. So it takes 6 to 10 months for things to change. So the question I have is, why in change management, why do a lot of things, why does the management or organizations not change? What's the biggest hurdle? I would have to say, in my experience, it's been that as managers, we aren't used to working with that change and keeping going and being persistent for that long. Sometimes we try it for a few weeks and say, well, that didn't work, let's move to the next thing. It takes change and diligence, 6 to 10 months of working with that change, but then there can be an amazing change in an organization. But it takes a lot of time and a lot of work to make that happen. So once you form new habits, the new process becomes clear. Cloud changes to sunshine. It becomes automatic. It takes less brain resources because it's a habit. Things are in your procedural memory. You just do them, and then that new process kicks in and happens. So now I'd like to, here's a science of learning skill, a science of learning technique. I'd like you to take 2 minutes, pause this video, and write down 1 to 7, and write down what the skills are. If you do this, again, it's a learning strategy to help you learn. So go ahead and pause it right now. When you come back, we'll check to see how well you did. Okay, welcome back. Now let's look at the different things. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So thank you, everybody, and remember, for change to happen in an organization, it takes time, effort, and to understand the why, the new process, repeat it 7 times, have new experiences, and form new habits. That's it. Thank you, everybody.